Jai Jagannath. Today I will present some of the important shlokas of Bhagavad Gita which are heart touching. This is in continuation of my last two episodes on relevance and topics of Bhagavad Gita. Ego vehemently opposes going to Paramatma, but internally, unknowingly, it gets attracted by that Paramatma only. The very name Krishna means attraction, akarshan, and no one would get peace without being attracted by the supreme reality. The first chapter of Gita begins with the presentation of two opposite characters. At the outset, Duryodhana is very full of anxieties, seeing the impending disaster and ultimate loss of throne, whereas the character of Arjuna is presented as an unique exemplification of selflessness, who is not interested for his own life, rather for the lives of his opponents, enemies. Arjuna is dead sure that in case he shoots, he would decimate the entire opposition. But there is no desire for victory, no lust for power or throne, no appetite for revenge. Such a rare specimen of human character asks questions to the ultimate reality. Who are we? What for we are here? What's our goal? Why we are alive? And to all these, Krishna conclusively proves towards the end by way of advising to the consciousness, and thereafter Krishna has nothing more to say. The role of consciousness is not to salvage the body, but rather to keep it in control. Since happiness and salvation, sorrow and bondage are related, and in turn they are all related to consciousness. Who are we? This human life is a strange union of two opposite concepts: consciousness, Chetana, body, or Jad Sharir. These two opposites are tied to a bonding in such a manner that they cannot live peacefully in union, and in case you separate them, then they will further suffer. Such a unique condition is known as this body, and there always remains a feel like sorrow, suffering. That's why questions are often asked: why we are alive? How long will be here? What will happen after death? Whether these sufferings would end or there will be further sufferings. Under such perspective comes into existentiality, religiosity, or adhyatma. Krishna always says in Bhagavad Gita, those who tolerate steadily the onslaught of the forces of nature, which he specifies as desire, kamna, and anger, krodh, they have become free in this life itself. Jivan mukt ho chuke hain. He further says, there will be desire, but there should not be for self, and there will be anger, but that should not be blind anger. Therefore, if this human life is love, then Bhagavad Gita is the love manual. As per Gita, the ideal time for meditation is just before the sun rises or by the time the sun rises. Sun represents energy, and by that time, if we are there, it allows the energies to be infused within us. Moreover, Brahma Muhurta helps us to disconnect with the world and connect with the supreme reality, our first identity and our ultimate spiritual journey. Because by the time we hit the 9M reality of this material world, we will be dragged down by the bombardment of noises and other diverting elements like anxieties, worries, fears. The fact remains that we remain busy so much in this temporary chapter that we forget the real picture. The greatest problem in the world today is we can't find the focus. But meditation with the chanting of mantras in Sanskrit, that sound vibration will reverberate through the entire body, which in turn helps us to generate focus, and thereby we are able to recalibrate our vision, readjust the paradigm of who we are, and reinstill the vision of eternity as well as the opinion we want to stand by. The chanting of mantras in Sanskrit is essential because in Sanskrit is a power, potency in that vibration that helps us for realization, to instill the realization of the meaning coming out of that verse. The easiest way to understand karma, it starts with a vidya or ignorance. All of us come to this world being completely ignorant. Like a movie to start with, it starts with darkness. From ignorance, there comes something which is called bija, seed of desire, material desire. And from material desire, there happens some action which is not congruent with the universal nature. That is called pap or sinful action. From pap or sinful action, there comes two types of karma. One is prarabdha karma and the other one is aprarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma refers to the experience we are encountering right now. For example, this body is the result of the deeds of the past life. Aprarabdha karma relates to the stock of karmic accounts that spilled over from previous to previous lives. Because one person cannot face all the karmic reaction in a single life. Therefore, some of the karmic reaction of the previous lives are kept as a stock of karma. It may so happen that when everything goes nicely, sometimes some problem comes all on a sudden in the shape of financial or medical. We begin to think why this has come from the blue. But this is the aprarabdha karma which was awaiting to fructify. However, the purpose of karma is highly educational. The divinity wants to teach a lesson through the experience of what we call the school of hard knocks, adverse situation, in order to elevate our consciousness and bring us out of ignorance. People learn by three ways: hearing, observing, and along with hearing and observing, we need to experience. In a beautiful verse, it is said, Bhamupetyo punarjanma dukkhalayam aswasatam. This material world is temporary and full of miseries. Remember, the purpose of karma is highly educational. Karmic reaction is a technique that unlocks and awakens us to the ultimate reality. Through this karmic reaction, the divinity wants to teach us lesson, and if we internalize all these lesson which the divinity wants to teach us, then there will be no more relevance of the karmic reaction. In a beautiful verse in Gita, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamik saranam braja aham tam sarva papebhyo mukhyo isha mimansucha. If you surrender completely to the Supreme Being and internalize all of these lessons, sarva papebhyo, all your karmic reaction, mukhyo isha mimansucha, just may be cancelled out. So there is a scope for clearing of karmic accounts. But while clearing karmic accounts, there may happen two things. First of all the karmic reaction may just be removed, or else they may come, and what the divinity would do is to instill you with the strength, resilience, and immunity, so that when does it come, it won't affect you in the same way. If the pen spins for some time, even after being switched off due to some momentum left, so also some karmic reaction may occur even after being cleared up, no doubt with lesser intensity which we have to live by. Now coming to time. Time is basically the force of nature that destroys everything. In time, everything disappears. Our body disappears, our health disappears, our ability disappears, our beauty disappears, even our relationship disappears. The reason why time such seemingly acts in such a cruel manner in this world that takes away everything is actually an exhibition of the greatest compassion of God. Because through the time factor that takes away everything superficial, it helps us to realize who actually I am, what is actually eternal. A verse of Gita says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate shata. Of the material, there is no endurance, and of the spiritual, there is no cessation. This time has to play a role in this material world only. And but in the spiritual realm, transcendent about and other worlds, the influence of this time factor doesn't exist. Now coming to spirituality in a material life, I would quote a sloka of Gita. Akama sarva kamo ma mukhya kama udarati tibrayina bhakti yogena yajaita purusham param. If one is akama, has no more desire for all the material things, and if one is sarvakama, has all the desire for these things, then this verse says it doesn't matter. They can still continue in the spiritual journey, and what will happen is that in time, the realization, the revelation that this is not the goal of life, that penny will drop. So, even if we are seeking material life, material things, still then we can continue in our spiritual journey. And what will happen is that during the course of that journey, the futility of all these material things and their ability to bring us true happiness will become apparent within our heart. Now, coming to extreme material success in a spiritual journey. No doubt the divinity arranges for some ridiculous amount of fame, success, achievements, accolades. Still then, after getting all these, they begin to feel something is still lacks. In Vedic tradition, there are 4 stages: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma means when one performs some religious piety, he gets Artha, wealth, material facilities, position. And from Artha comes Kama, gratification, enjoyment, pleasure. And after getting Artha and Kama, there comes Moksha or liberation. What happens here is that they begin to feel, I have got it all, I had done it all. Still then, something is missing. What is beyond? The search for the ultimate reality begins on the path of spiritual journey. In a beautiful verse, prayer rather, Queen Kunti says in Bhagavad Puran, Janmeshwariya Shruti Srivir, Edhaman Madapuman, Nirvarhatya Vidatum me, Tumma Kinchana Gocharam. Good karma is represented in 4 ways. Janma, good upbringing, good family life, Aishwarya, affluence, wealth, material facilities, Sruta, intelligence, analytical capability, cognitibility, Sri, physical beauty, attractiveness. Those who are in possession of any one of these 4 means that they have got good karma. And anyone who is in possession of all these 4 is a representation of backs up good karma. But the interesting thing here is that what Kunti Devi says, Tom akinchana gocharam. Divinity can only be approached by those who have become completely frustrated, have lost all the faith in all these 4 things. However, I would like to conclude that the role of spirituality is very vital in a material life. Jai Jagannath.